President Bongbong Marcos often discusses energy on the world stage as he pushes for nuclear power and renewables in international summits and partnership talks. We take a look at the energy situation in the country with Infrawatch Philippines convener Terry Ridon. Terry, thank you so much for joining us. President Marcos describes climate change as the greatest existential threat, not only affecting the Philippines, but the region as well. What concrete steps should the government do to address this problem?
Well, certainly, this is the marching order that everyone is looking for, no? In the last couple of days, the President has spoken in international committees, in international conferences, of the commitment to the Philippines towards renewables, towards fighting climate change. I think this is the signal to the Department of Energy and to all of the private stakeholders building power plants to essentially make renewable energy a priority in building power plants in the next couple of years.
All right, renewable energy being a priority of the Energy Department, but he's also looking at nuclear power, nuclear energy, Terry. And he met with the French President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the APEC summit and engaged Macron on the topic of energy, as France is a leading proponent of nuclear energy. How can the country benefit from this? And is this the right avenue to go?
Well, I think nuclear energy is something that should be disjointed from the push towards renewable. The Philippines is in a typical situation, particularly because of the great debates, no, on nuclear energy, particularly on the Bataan nuclear power plant. So I think this matter is something that should be looked into by government and the private sector, but this should not be a stumbling block for the entire energy sector to basically proceed with a further expanding renewable energy and making certain that the DOE's commitment towards 35% mix by 2030 of renewables and 50% mix of renewables by 2040 is something that is truly going to be a reality in the country.
Yeah, because at the moment, environmental groups are saying that the president is giving mixed signals, no? Citing his previous pronouncement that he also wants the country to increase the use of renewable energy to address climate change, as you mentioned. Your thoughts on this?
Sorry, can you repeat it, Rico?
The environmental groups are saying that it seems like that the president is giving mixed signals, no? Nuclear and renewable. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I think government should definitely be very strict, no, on making certain that environmental commitments, social commitments, particularly in areas affected by power plants, ought to be made certain, particularly if we would want to dabble into ideas of bringing back nuclear energy again. I think very critical there would be environmental compliance and the social acceptance of communities on the matter, no? But I think another aspect of the energy sector at the moment that is something that we really have to look into is the regulatory capture that we are seeing today, particularly relating to high-level officials that had been appointed at the highest levels of the Energy Department. So I think that is the more pressing concern on the energy sector over and above anything else.
Well, because as you mentioned, the appointment of some key regulators coming from one company. Could this eventually lead to conflict of interest, Terry?
Well, this is a real conflict of interest because we are talking about high-level appointments, firstly at the as a head of the Department of Energy, and secondly as chair of the Energy Regulatory Commission. I think there will always be questions by the public, by different stakeholders on whether or not these leaders will not be conflicted, particularly because they come from a singular corporate entity and they are currently now representing regulated entities within the power sector.
Doesn't the president see this? And is he likely to make changes going forward? that the key power regulators are coming from a former private company that also has interest in energy.
Well, I'd like to cut the president some slack. I think one important point is
Terry, we lost your audio there for a moment. Terry? Terry, you must be on mute. We lost your audio there for a while.
Rico.
Yes, can you please repeat your answer?
Yeah, I think...
About, you mentioned that we should cut the president some slack.
To be fair to the president, we'd like to cut him some slack. And more importantly, because the Secretary of Energy will still be subjected to commission and appointments proceedings. No? So issues relating to conflicts of interest can in fact be raised there. And we'll see how high-level executives, previous high-level executives and now high-level officials will basically manage the different stakeholders within the energy sector. Will they be seen favoring one corporate entity or their former principal, or will they be seen as basically trying to strike a balance despite their origin story, the origin story of their appointments?
All right, from what we've seen from these energy regulators over the past couple of months, they've just been appointed. Are we seeing them favoring one particular entity, or is their decision balanced?
Well, we still have yet to see, because there are still particular transactions that are still currently pending before, as an example, before the Energy Regulatory Commission. There is a great debate now on particular power generation contracts, that had been upheld, by the Energy Regulatory Commission. And one of our warnings in the previous weeks is for the ERC to make sure that in the event that this particular supply contract is in fact terminated, in the event that new proceedings for a new supply will be undertaken, the ERC should ensure the same price or lower prices for the consumers. Because it is clear in energy policy that what is most important in terms of price is the least cost to the consumers. So we'd like to see them. We'd like to see them be challenged on how the public will look at how they will decide on all of these things moving forward.
Terry, finally, if you had the ear of the president, if you have a personal meeting with the president, what will you tell him?
Well, I think it would be very best for the president to appoint very independent, third-party, unconflicted, high-level officials in deeply regulated sectors like energy. So, but again, we'll cut him some slack. The commission and appointments will make a determination soon, and we'll see day to day on the manner by which high-level energy officials will conduct themselves. So I think this is a work in progress. So what is most important is for the public to be vigilant on every price, on every transaction that will be undertaken within the energy sector within the next couple of months.
Thank you so much for your insights and for joining us on The Final Word. Infrawatch Philippines convener Terry Ridon.